Hello and welcome to Please Me. In last week's Encore, Eve brought back June Edwards, who talked about her otherworldly stories and adventures. Learn how she experiences the world as a psychic medium and how she has used this gift for her own intimacy practices. Be sure to hit play and listen. This podcast is intended for mature audiences. Eve is a licensed sexual health physical therapist on a mission to destigmatize conversations about sex. Please sit back and surrender to the pleasure of Please Me.
Are you suffering from erectile dysfunction in silence? Are you embarrassed by premature ejaculation? Is it hard to get an erection that is long enough for penetration or that lasts long enough to satisfy your partner and yourself? Just know that you are not alone and that 20% of men suffer from erectile dysfunction in their 20s, and it goes up 10% per decade. So 50% of men in their 50s will have some form of erectile dysfunction. My name is Eve Hall, a licensed physical therapist who treats conditions such as erectile dysfunction and other sexual health conditions. I'm here to tell you that there is a solution to erectile dysfunction, and I offer the gold standard in my practice called Inspire Health Physical Therapy and Wellness. I have a full protocol to get your sexy back, so know that I am here to help. Just know that there is no shame in having any sexual health condition, including erectile dysfunction. If that is you, be sure to reach me on sdc.com and leave me a message there, or reach me on pleaseme.online to listen to my podcasts, or to leave me a message and book an appointment today.
Hello and welcome to Please Me, the podcast that aims to destigmatize conversations about sex by turning the sheets into our classroom. Today, I am so excited to welcome Darlene Greene to the podcast. She is a retired Navy commander who helps veterans with their emotional and physical health. She talks about taking charge of your health without pharmaceuticals. She is an expert in a new technology that has been touted as the most significant medical breakthrough of our lifetime. And this technology relates to stem cells. So let's welcome Darlene, and I cannot wait to hear all about her story. Hi, Darlene. How are you today?
Hi, Eve. I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on your great podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. So first of all, let me just hear a little bit about your story, and I would love to know how you got involved in this technology and all of that. So bring it on.
Okay, outstanding. So first of all, Eve, I've had a very strong interest in health and wellness for quite some time for my own personal reasons, because in 1996, I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, which is now called Epstein-Barr virus. And in 99, fibromyalgia. And in 2005, I was diagnosed with POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia, all autoimmune disorders. So as we went through my life, in each case, doctors tell you, there's no cure, there's nothing we can do for you. Really sorry. You could try this prescription medicine, but it's maybe going to help, but maybe not. Ultimately, they had me on a medicine to increase my blood pressure, which is crazy because they were afraid that I would pass out, which I was doing. Part of what happens with POTS is that you don't get enough blood to the brain and you pass out. So all of my life, I've been focused on doing the right things, eating healthy, exercising, getting good sleep, really drinking water, being very careful with the things that I took into my body and trying to do all the right things health-wise. So I even took medical classes for fun, right? Just throughout my regular day job. Then what really changed our path entirely was my husband, who is just 64 at the time, was diagnosed with early Alzheimer's. And his decline was very fast. Normally, you go from mild cognitive impairment to stage 6A, which is where he is right now, which is the cognition level of a 5-year-old. You do that in 11 to 13 years. He did it in 2 years.
Wow.
Yes, that's exactly actually what the Barrows Neurological Center chief of the Alzheimer's Clinic said. Wow. And it's partly because he has APOE4/4, which is the gene from both parents. And when it's early, it's more aggressive. All this to say, in a desperate effort to try to find something to help him, we went out of country to get stem cells, IV stem cells at very high expense, because everything in the research kept pointing to stem cells. Really, nothing was reversing anything. Some of it was slowing down the progression, but nothing was reversing. Stem cells seemed the most promising. We tried that 4 times via IV at $10,000 an IV and an injection. It was
Wow.
really expensive. Neither of us saw any results. A hyperbaric chamber, very expensive, several times a week, ozone therapy, blood spinning, you name it. We revamped to even a greater degree the diet. We had lost alcohol and soda years ago, but we took out every bit of white flour and sugar and really genetically modified foods, grass-fed only, you name it. We were really making sure there were fewer toxins going to the brain as much as possible. Really focused on exercise 6 days a week with a trainer 3 days a week, making sure we're pumping the blood and getting those muscles stronger, because that's actually very highly linked to the prevention of progression of Alzheimer's. As much as we could do, nothing was slowing it down though. And at the point in time when I was introduced to this technology, my husband was truly a zombie. He was a shell of his former self. He wasn't engaging in conversation anymore. He was sleeping the day away. I would say he would sleep 3.5 hours a day. There were times I would go check on him. Are you breathing? It was so worrisome. He would just be gone. And even in the chair, he would just fall asleep even if he was up. So it was really hard. I think the hardest part, though, for me was he was no longer his personality. So he wasn't even trying to be funny. And that's like core to his personality, was trying to be funny. So I was introduced by a friend who said, this has changed my life and my family's life and my daughter's life. And I really recommend you try this. This technology activates your own stem cells. And I was like, wow, sure, I'm in. I had nothing to lose. There's a money back guarantee. I was like, I've tried everything else. It's a tiny little quarter-sized patch. There's nothing going in the skin. It's non-transdermal. There are no side effects, no contraindications. And she said, there are over 90 clinical studies. And I said, sure, I'm in. And I got in without even reading all the studies. I will tell you, I have since read all of the studies, but at the time, I will admit to just jumping in. And what was amazing is from the moment we started patching, he didn't nap. He didn't do that 3.5-hour nap. He began talking of a storm. I mean,
Wow.
it was like a dam broke and he had 2 years worth of stuff to say and he was going to get it all out in this week. It was just, and what was amazing, he had been talking in like word salad, like words that didn't go together. It was just impossible to try. I would spend 45 minutes trying to understand, what are you saying, and not really get to the end of it. He was so inarticulate. And all of a sudden he was talking with sense and he was with it. And it was just like, what is going on? So that was happening for him in the first week at the same time that I was experiencing something remarkable as well. So I had broken my foot, I had sprained my ankle, and I was in a chair. And I'd been in this chair for 5 months, essentially, waiting for surgery. And I'd become depressed, quite honestly. All of my coping mechanisms for dealing with a care provider role and a husband that's very early and young had gone out the window. I couldn't go on my morning walks. I couldn't play pickleball. I couldn't get good social. All the things I would do were really gone. So I had an opportunity to try their ice wave patches, and they take away pain better than Vicodin or Percocet or any medicine I have ever done. And I was like, what is this magic that is happening here? And that's a patch called Ice Wave. It's different than the stem cell activation patch. This is a patch that adjusts the energy. Anyway, suffice it to say, I got out of pain. And then I had all this energy, and energy that I hadn't had in a really long time. Energy, I'm in the kitchen cooking. I'm able to just roll with everything. I had a calmness about me. Over time, in, 2 or 3 weeks, my depression completely lifted. And I was just absolutely flabbergasted by the change in me and the change in my husband. In fact, the second week, he got the best recorded sleep he'd ever had. We'd been getting like 15 minutes. He got an hour and 25 minutes. Over time, he kept experiencing things and I kept experiencing things. At about the 2.5 month, he regained the ability to whistle, which he had lost. He regained the ability to drum. His blood pressure dropped 37 points. And
Wow.
at the 5-month mark, yes, wow.
That's significant.
He regained his sense of smell, which he had lost 15 years ago.
Wow.
So really great neuro things happening, right? And then I had this amazing situation where I no longer ever had to take that fludrocortisol to raise my blood pressure. I was no longer fainting and passing out. I was not experiencing body aches from fibromyalgia or any signs of chronic fatigue syndrome. My regular headaches that were quick to go to migraines. I'd gone to the hospital a couple of times throwing up and with migraines before. My headaches went away. My rosacea went away. I lost weight easily. My hormones balanced. You just can't even believe all the things. I was just really impressed. And as a result of that, I was like, okay, mom, dad, sis, cousin, all of you need to do this. And over time, I had got to experience the joy of watching them get well. My sister with chronic microscopic colitis for 6 years had done stir IV and all the things, and it all cleared up for her in just 3 weeks. Over time,
Wow.
all the 90 clinical studies, and I got to see a ton of testimonials for people. So this is how I got involved in it and became very passionate about sharing this because, quite honestly, Eve, I believe with all of my heart that if I would have known about this 3 years ago when we first got the diagnosis and we would have been patching then, we would not be in stage 6A right now. He would not be where he is today. And there are people out there right now in the situation I was in several years ago with loved ones, and it may not be Alzheimer's. It doesn't have to be, right? The benefits of this we'll talk about across the board, but there are so many benefits, whether it's for your sex life or for your autoimmune disorder or for arthritis or for really all of the things, because stem cells are the body's raw materials. They can become anything in your body that they need to become, and they've made you to begin with. So when you think about joints or ligament or muscle or cartilage or any of it, they can make all of it and they can do it wherever you need it.
Yes, that's incredible. The purpose of stem cells in our body is to regenerate any tissue, right? So it's a very important, cell. And over time and with age, it diminishes quite a bit. Can you talk about what happens with stem cells as you get older?
I can. And I didn't know this, but when you're 30, half of your stem cells, they're in there, they're floating around, but they're completely dormant. And then when you're 60 and I'm 59, they're almost all inactive. So at that time, this is why we're aging faster, why we're not healing as quickly, right? This is why, because our stem cells are dormant. And that makes me very suspicious of even people who, if you were my age and you pulled your own stem cells out and you flipped them around in a vial and you did things to them and you popped them back in your body, chances are none of those are active. Even getting stem cells from other people or yourself, are they active? If you're getting them maybe from placenta in another country, they might be helpful. They weren't for me, but they could be. I'm not saying that they can't be, but yeah, and you really want to make sure that you're activating your own stem cells. And it takes about a month of our patch X39 for every decade you are old to bring them to full activeness. For me, I would want to wear the patches 6 months. Now, over time, the more you wear them, the more things get better and better. I'm not going to stop, but you could stop and then you just start aging as though you would, normally age. It's not like you're going back to square one, because this isn't like a blood pressure medicine where you stop taking the blood pressure medicine and your blood pressure
Goes up again.
It's not treating a symptom. It's actually getting into the root area, and it's doing cellular regeneration and optimizing your health. You don't even have to know what's wrong with you. I will tell you, I don't think the doctors really understand chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, or POTS, quite honestly.
I agree.
Yeah, I think they're just like, we don't really know. We're going to call it these set of symptoms. And sorry, we just have no idea what to do with that. And that's why I'm like, okay, but you know what? My stem cells know what to do and they figured it out.
Yes. And when you're not getting the answers that you want from the medical community, you really have to take it upon yourself to find the answers yourself. And this is a very interesting technology that I honestly have never heard about. I have heard about doing stem cell therapy and all of that, but a patch that allows your own body to take the stem cells that you already have and reactivate them. And I don't know, does it also allow your body to produce more stem cells?
It does. It does. And I ought to make sure I do the disclaimer that LifeWave products are not intended to cure, treat, diagnose, or prevent disease.
Of course.
Even if they do, right? But yes, so what they do, fascinating. And most people understand when you go out in the sun, your body makes vitamin D.
Mm-hmm.
Most people know that if you go out in the sun, your body makes melanin to get a suntan. So that's called photobiomodulation. It's basically your body having a chemical response to light waves. And we've studied light for 5,000 years. It's not surprising that it makes these specific targeted and beneficial biochemical responses. But this non-transdermal patch that's the size of a quarter It is basically hermetically sealed nanocrystals that are like a mirror. So what's happening is if I looked at you with night vision goggles, you have light inside of you. And what's happening is this is reflecting your own light back into you at a very specific wavelength that then elevates a copper peptide called GHKCU. Who's ever heard of that? I hadn't, but it's actually one of the most fundamental and truly remarkable peptides in your body. Peptides are like insulin is a peptide. People know of peptides when they hear them, but most people don't know about this copper peptide. And so what you find when you elevate this copper peptide, and this has been very well studied, you can Google this in PubMed, you can see all the benefits of GHKCU, but they know when you elevate GHKCU, you increase stem cells and you produce growth factors. You also protect lungs. You do amazing things for the brain. We'll talk about a brain study. Do amazing things for the heart. We can talk about a heart study with the X39 patch. It's very great for cancer, anti-cancer, because it resets the programmed cell death of human cancer cells, but does not affect healthy cells. So it repairs damaged DNA and it resets cells to cancer inhibition. It's great for skin and hair and wound healing, even stomach and intestine and lining, great for gut health. It's just amazing. Yeah, this is just an extraordinary technology. And you're right. Where has this been? I was very salty when I found out that there were over 300 athletes in the 2008 Olympics that were wearing lightweight patches. I'm like, when I researched, I did not come up with this. I guess I should expect that, right? A lot of the naturopathic and alternative approaches are squashed when you go to Google them. I will tell you, I was even more mad when I found out three of my doctors are using the patches and highly recommend them. But they didn't tell me about them until I asked them, said, have you heard about these? And they're like, absolutely. Yes, I strongly recommend it. Really love that glutathione patch. Love this.
Oh my gosh. Yes, because they want to write the prescription and that is not okay. If three of your doctors take it themselves, but aren't telling you about it, that is really, they're doing a disservice to their patients.
So too. I think
Yeah,
so.
it's shameful actually. And you just mentioned what I was going to talk about, the Olympic athletes using these patches and how it helps them with their performance, with their recovery. I also recommend a product that is called Juice Plus. I don't know if you've ever heard of it before.
I've taken Juice Plus since 2001.
Okay, so
every loved one in my family, my husband, everyone has to be on Juice Plus because you cannot get enough fruits and vegetables and whole foods. And I love that you are a proponent of that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason why I bring it up is number one, nutritionally, you have to stay healthy in order for your body to be healthy. And so we all need fruits and vegetables in our body, and nobody is eating enough fruits and vegetables to maintain our health. So that's number one. But number two, this past year, they have a US Olympic, they've created like a big Olympic, what's the word I'm trying to look for? Like a training site. And that's probably not the right words. But anyway, this is where the Olympians in the US can train. And all of the Olympians that train there have access to taking Juice Plus. And there are certain Olympic teams in different parts of the world where all of their athletes take Juice Plus. And so I always say, if the athletes are doing it, they know something that we don't know. And look at all of the research that is behind Juice Plus. And you're saying that 90 clinical studies have been done. Athletes know how to maximize their health and how to maximize their performance and how to maximize their healing. And so if the athletes are doing it, then we have to really look and say, hey, could this help us too? And you don't have to be a high level athlete to have better health. And if you're struggling with several autoimmune issues and you're saying that this can help your gut health, and when you know that your gut health, 70% of your immune system lies in your gut, and you can help to better your gut health, that is a huge improvement in your immune system.
Yes. In fact, for every signal that goes to your stomach from your brain, 7 signals go from your gut to your brain. So brain to gut, 7 going from gut to brain. So which is really the controlling brain in the matter.
When you have those cravings for whatever that may be, and your stomach is saying, And it sometimes is the bad bacteria talking to your brain saying, I need sugar, I need like unhealthy things. And then you're feeding your bad bacteria. So you have to really pay attention to that, because my gut talks to me all the time and tells me to eat chips.
That's right. And we know that those Olympic athletes are only doing things that are very trusted and very safe. And certainly they wouldn't be putting a patch on or taking Juice Plus if it was going to cause any kind of issue in a drug test. And they're only going to do things that are really improving their performance. And when you find out people like Serena Williams and David Beckham and Michael Phelps and Ivory Sully's telling us Tom Brady is on the patches and the Kansas City Chiefs are on these patches, you have to recognize that there's something going on here. And there's a reason that they're so trusted, because they do understand how to optimize their health. There's a really great study. You talked about performance. And one of the things that I love about, there's this brain study. I'm going to talk about a brain study and a heart study because they're my favorite studies, and particularly the brain study and the heart studies, because I felt the difference. They actually changed me, and I got to see the difference in my husband. So this brain study in 2019, this is on X39 only, wearing the patch 12 hours on and then taking it off after 12 hours, had EEGs and blood work and intake discussion questions as well. And what they found is that there's actually on my website, you can see the picture of the EEG, but there's red circles. And the red is the EEG before someone has started X39. And that's hypercoherence, very poor crosstalk between hemispheres of the brain. That's inflammation. That is PTSD and anger and frustration and anxiety, right? That's not a healthy and well-functioning brain. When you look at the picture of the EEG 3 weeks later, it's an entirely different color map. Greens and yellows and blues have come into the map, and that's an indication of reduced inflammation and a more optimized brain. And then at 6 weeks, it's a whole new color map and all of these good colors. And what the study's findings were, yes, it increased GHACU with all the good things that it does. It also supported cell and nerve regeneration. It balanced the brain. It improved that coherence between the two hemispheres. It actually improved the nervous system. It lowered anxiety. It decreased the brain inflammation, and it improved memory and focus, cognitive brain function, as well as improving task processing ease and speed. So I got to watch that happen in my husband like this. I got to experience the lift of depression, the reduction of anxiety, just the calmness, the happiness. That was huge for me. And then I also experienced the benefit of the heart study. So in the 6 weeks that people were wearing X39 in this study, the vascular system improved. And it improved so dramatically that every 6 weeks, the cardiovascular system begins functioning as if it were 8 weeks younger. So I think it just completely revamped my entire cardiovascular system. So I don't think I have POTS anymore. I don't think I have to worry about that anymore. And I am very grateful to having a new, but there are people out there who have blood flow issues. In fact, I've heard you talk about this, Eve, that sometimes erectile dysfunction is in fact linked to blood flow issues, which are an early warning indicator for cardiovascular issues, right? Heart
That's
issues.
right.
I don't have to tell you that. And so if you can imagine the benefit, there are tons of people who experience tremendous improvement in blood flow and it just goes away. Their erectile dysfunction just goes away wearing the patches. They have much more blood flow. They have a much stronger heart. They have much more energy. There's a ton of benefits we can talk about, but I love the improvement in that one thing, because when you combine the opportunity to reduce anger and frustration and anxiety and stress and depression and symptoms of PTSD, when you can help people relax and get into the mood, and then you add their improved blood flow and optimizing your hormones and increasing testosterone, improving a woman's moist, all of it, right? All of these things are going to really help everyone in the bedroom.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know why there's a thumbs up there. That's so weird. It's listening to us. Okay. So thumbs up. I'm into that. And it's funny because I was just about to ask you that you had mentioned that some of your friends had said that these patches should come with a warning label. Can you tell me about that?
Yes, even hysterical. I independently and without knowing anyone else had said anything, I have 3 friends who said to me, X39 should come with a warning label for spouses. And it should say something along the lines of this: be ready for your spouse to chase you around the house. because they have so much vigor and excitement, and they're really enjoying and ready for sex more frequently. And then they're enjoying sex more frequently. So when you can think about the fact that you've got improved sleep and then you've improved your energy, those two things alone can make a big difference. But also, this improves flexibility. So people are enjoying enhanced flexibility is nothing but helpful in the bedroom. And then it increases fitness. So it improves muscle tone, which helps you in all sorts of positions. And while it shouldn't matter how our bodies are in the bedroom, and I don't think it really does matter to people when you're in the middle of having sex. I don't think people care at all what your shape is or size or anything, but except in our own minds, right? Sometimes in our own minds, we're stuck on certain parts of our body. But with these patches, people are losing body fat. So they're increasing muscle tone and they're losing body fat and they're reducing waist size. And all of those things help people feel more confident in the bedroom.
Yes, and also decreasing cardiovascular disease, because if when you have that belly fat, that does increase your propensity for cardiovascular disease. And if you're able to lose that, at least partially, that makes a huge difference in your overall health. So that's really quite incredible.
It is.
Sign me up.
And it also it reduces pain. So there are people who would like to have sex, but they're hurting. Their back hurts, their knee hurts, their foot hurts, their shoulder hurts. Like all these things hurt. But one of the best and quickest things that people experience with X39 is a reduction in pain. So reduced inflammation, reduction in pain, wound healing, energy, vitality, mental clarity, enhanced sports performance. The bedroom could be considered a sport. So
Absolutely.
enhanced sports performance, faster recovery from exercise. Am I the only one that's been sore after sex? Not from like this, but from muscles. Like I'm thinking these are muscles that I only work out in this way at this place. And so having faster recovery means faster to get back to it. So that's really great. Plus improved skin appearance. That's the other thing. So I would say 80% of people experience one of those things in the first 3 to 6 weeks. Cellular regeneration is not something that happens overnight. Now the pain relief with the IceWave, that happens within a minute. But the pain relief that comes with X39 takes time because it's going in, it's resetting 3,000 to 4,000 genes within your first 24 hours to that younger and healthier state. It's elevating that GHKCU. So it's just going to take a little bit of time for it to go to work. And people need to be patient so that they can see that difference.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes you a while to become unhealthy, right? So in one moment, you're not going to suddenly go from being very unhealthy to suddenly being super healthy. Your body has to regenerate. It takes a certain amount of time for your blood to regenerate. It takes a certain amount of time for your skin cells to regenerate. Each type of cell is different. For you to regenerate all of the cells in your body, it typically takes a whole entire year with all of them combined. So you have to really give it time to do its work. But I'm assuming, having spoken to many people who have taken Juice Plus and just looking at the research, that you start to notice positive changes along the way that sort of compound as you've been taking it for longer. And I'm assuming that this would be similar in this circumstance. Yeah. And pain is one of those things that I see tons of in my practice because I'm a licensed physical therapist and I treat all sorts of different conditions. And pain is something that comes along with injuries or surgeries and all of that. And if you can affect the pain, you can affect the recovery so much quicker. And pain and inflammation go hand in hand. So if you can decrease the inflammation, you're automatically going to also decrease the pain. Yeah. So all of that is so important. And inflammation is a precursor to every single disease. So if you can,
I'm
go
so
ahead.
glad you brought that up because we actually have so X39 reduces inflammation, but this patch, Eon, which was the number one selling patch before X39 came about. X39's been on the market 4 years. The Eon's been longer than that. This patch is specifically targeting a peptide that reduces inflammation. So it reduces inflammation and cortisol and C-reactive proteins and stress. It balances the autonomic nervous system and hormone production. It's called the longevity patch or the happy patch because it balances and pumps the brain and it elevates DHEA, which is amazing. So what happens is inflammation eats up your stem cells. So even if you're activating your stem cells, if your inflammation is eating them all up, then you're not getting the full benefit. So we love to say, we recommend people use these two patches, the X39 and the Eon, so you can reduce your inflammation and then elevate your stem cells. And the combination then can really, we call it the dynamic duo, and it goes to work and it does amazing things. The only other patch that I would say everyone needs would be glutathione. And that's eventually, it doesn't have to happen right away. The X39 actually raises your glutathione levels by 30% right out of the gate. But glutathione, if you're not familiar with that, maybe some listeners aren't, you probably are, but it is your body's master antioxidant and immune booster. So it is so important for detoxification and for your immune system. And so as someone with 3 autoimmune disorders going into the pandemic, I was getting glutathione via oral and IV to try to boost my own body's immune system. But I will tell you, even the IV was only elevating my glutathione levels by 27% for 7 minutes. It has a very short half-life. What this glutathione patch that we have does is it elevates your glutathione levels by 300% for 24
Wow.
hours. For 24
Okay.
hours. It stays there. So the people that live the longest in the world have the highest levels of glutathione. And one of the things that this does, which is so fantastic, is it really not only protects your DNA and it rejuvenates stem cells, but it reduces inflammation and it increases the generation of cartilage to the point that they did a study with these 2 patches, the glutathione and the Eon. They put one on one side of the knee and another on another side of the knee. And I know you've seen people that have knee injuries, and those 2 combined for a couple of months, 100% of the people that were scheduled to go into surgery ended up not having the knee surgery because of the 2 patches, and they were no longer in pain. And they do the MRI again, and their cartilages grow back, and it's a miracle, right? Nobody can believe it.
Wow.
The other things that these 2 patches do, when you add these 3 together, they knock out spiked proteins. And everybody who's had the vaccination has spiked proteins, and anybody who's had shedding from someone else who's got the vaccination has a high likelihood of having spike proteins. And then if you've had COVID, you have spike proteins, and those don't just go away. You actually have to do something to get rid of spike proteins. And nothing could be easier, in my opinion, than taking 3 patches for about 2 months, and you've knocked out your spike proteins forever.
Wow, that's incredible. I am super fascinated by this technology. I know that it also helps sleep, and sleep deprivation and sleep disorders can negatively impact our sexual arousal and libido. How do the patches help sleep?
Yeah, so that is one of the best reported things. I have a friend who actually showed that they doubled their REM sleep in the first night of wearing X39. So a lot of people find tremendous, not just energy, but refreshing sleep. They dream more, and their REM sleep is improving, their deep sleep is improving, and so they wake up more refreshed. They don't. Not everybody measures it with the same technology that I do, but they certainly are measuring ours. And then for people that have really significant sleep issues, we actually have a patch called Silent Nights that naturally elevates serotonin and melatonin, which are also really great antioxidants. But that improves the functioning of your sleep as well. So if the X39 isn't quite enough, Eon even helps people sleep. There's another patch called Alavita that helps people sleep. And Alavita elevates epithalamic peptide, which people love. People might particularly love Alavita because it's so good for the skin. It reduces fine lines and wrinkles. It's the one that adds more collagen and makes you look so young and takes care of discoloration. So a lot of women love Alavita. And so it's really marketed for the face. But I will tell you, it's a disservice to the patch because what it's doing is increasing organ function, frontal lobes, adrenal glands, liver, hypothalamus, pituitary gland, thyroid gland, kidneys, and pancreas. So those are amazing organs. And the skin happens to be your largest organ. So it's showing
Right.
a state of effective and improved health from the outside, but really, it's really improving all the organs on the inside. And collagen, for example, all of these things that are improving collagen, we think of collagen as this thing that's going to make my face look so great, but collagen is the most abundant protein in our body. So we want collagen all through our body to be elevated, and it's not necessarily elevating just by consuming it. But when you can get your body to make more collagen, you're doing a great service to all of the cells in your body. And
Absolutely.
you
Go
talked about
ahead.
you talked about energy, and I want to speak to the very first patch that was ever made because I love this patch. It's called Energy Enhancers, and I know that you have people that are listening who love Red Bull or these energy drinks. They're all the rage. They're so bad for you, but okay, you got to get through the day. We're doing a lot of caffeine and coffee and espresso, and really are addicted to other forms of stimulants. And I would tell you that The very first patch that was ever invented 20 years ago, our founder and owner was commissioned by the Department of Defense to create a patch for Navy SEALs. As a
Okay.
Navy retired commander, this is near and dear to my heart, right? So what was happening was they needed to stay awake for 4 or 5 days at a time. And they wanted something besides amphetamines that could help them do that. And they created the energy enhancers. And it's so effective. It is so amazing to have a patch that it doesn't feel like caffeine in your veins and you're like jittery or anything like that. It's just energize your body energy all day long that just keeps going. You don't have that afternoon dip. You're not standing in front of a pantry needing some kind of food or chocolate or sugar or something of that nature because you just have energy and it works. I love the fact that it not only improves energy and endurance, it really improves performance. And that's what those Olympic athletes in 2008 Olympic, the ones that swept the gold medals in the swim team, all of those guys were wearing them. They are doing it by increasing the beta oxidation by producing more energy from fat burning and improving mitochondrial function. So it's improving your and so unlike that caffeine or the energy drinks, this is improving your overall system. It increases fat burning actually burns an extra 300 to 600 calories a day. Who doesn't like that? And it makes all the other patches work 30% more effectively because this is this is light therapy, energy therapy, following the meridians and the acupressure points of your body, which we have a tendency to dismiss in our country, but it's been around for 5,000 years. People have been doing
Mm-hmm.
it. Maybe we should get a clue and recognize there's a lot to this. It's impossible. My greatest skeptics, and there are a lot. I was too, and I get it. It's hard to be a skeptic when you take somebody and you go, "Where's what's your shoulder pain right now?" It's an 8. Here, let me patch that, and all of a sudden it's a 0, and they're like, "Okay, I get it. I don't know what it's doing. I don't understand how it's working, but sign me up because that's magic."
That is magic. Absolutely. I agree. Oh my goodness. I can just picture where I need it right now because I'm sitting here shifting in my chair and my lower back is like a little uncomfortable because I've been sitting for so many hours today. I think that's incredible. I want to ask you about the patch for sleep. Is that safe for children to use? Because both of my children
Yeah.
have sleep issues already. And so
Yeah.
I've tried lots of different things. So I'm curious to know if you can
Yeah.
use them on
Well,
kids.
I would start, you can use them on kids. You can use them on grandparents. You can use them on pets. In fact, we wear them 12 hours on and then we take them off and we put them on our pet or we put them on our child or we put them on our loved one or we put them, there's still probably 18 hours of life in the patches, but you only wear it 12 hours because you don't want attenuation. You don't want your body to get used to it and stop responding. But yes,
Mm,
I probably wouldn't start with Silent Nights. I would start with Eon or X39. I would really start with X39 because the benefits of X39 are so phenomenal, even for kids. Or Eon, which is that anti-inflammatory patch that also helps people sleep, or even Alavida, which is so good for the organs. Silent Night, I would say for the less because it's only elevating melatonin and serotonin, and these others I think do a lot more that are beneficial. I'd say that is the last resort, or for somebody who's got very serious issues and the other things aren't working for them yet. There's even,
okay.
there's a patch Eve that I would tell you has just changed my life in my relationship with food, and that's called SP6, and it also improves organ function, the hypothalamus, the thyroid, the adrenal glands, kidney, the liver, the pancreas, and the intestines. It balances the hormones, and it actually has this. It works to support the endocrine system. This project is also magic. You put it on your spleen point 6, and it is amazing at knocking out sugar and hunger cravings. So you talked about the gut bugs and that signal to eat sugar. And as somebody who we don't have it in the house, but I'm still a salt and a sugar addict. I think I will always be, except once I started these patches, the cravings stopped. And instead of having to white knuckle my way through the day, even having not eaten it, like I know that when you stop, it takes 6 weeks and then I would be better. It would certainly be better, but I still wanted it, every bit of it. And what's happened is that this has knocked out those cravings, knocked out my hunger cravings. So it's really easy to intermittent fast. It's real easy to just wait until your main meal and then eat a healthy meal until you are just satiated and then stop and then not overeat and then move on and wait till the next meal. It's not only good for hunger and sugar cravings, it's actually good for all addictions, drugs and alcohol and other things as well. It's really doing something fabulous in the brain.
That's incredible. All of the different systems that it's affecting. So I'm just jumping ahead here because we did talk about this. Let me just jump ahead with all my questions. Here we go. Okay. Okay. I think it's time for us to ask that question that we were talking about earlier. This is the question that I ask all of my guests. And so I am curious to know, what is your favorite sex position?
So I like being on top. Uh,
Okay.
being on top, it helps me to hit my spot and really take care of everything I need to take care of. It's really productive for me. I will share with you that with my husband with Alzheimer's, our situation in the bedroom has changed for me. And that's not an easy thing to talk about, Eve, but I know there are care providers out there and people with spouses that have dementia. When you are taking care of a spouse who is now an adult toddler at age 5, helping them with everything, including socks and shoes or whatever, it changes how you view that person. And so for me, I'm the mom now. I'm the mom. I'm no longer the wife. I'm the mom. And so having sex with him feels really wrong to me. It gives me the, yeah, like something is really wrong with this. And so I can't do that anymore. And I'm honoring my feelings in this and just not. I'm just taking care of myself in other ways. I can do that privately. He doesn't need to know, and no, I guess now the whole world knows, but he won't know. But the point is, I think it's really important that we honor our relationships and where we are and our own feelings in the matter. And that is just something that I never thought about beforehand. It never occurred to me. It just happened. And when I reached out to other spouses of people with dementia and early Alzheimer's, that decline, it's hit them the same way too. So we're not alone for those of us that are in this situation. And I think it's important that we talk about that sometime because it is not talked about. I don't know if I wish somebody would have told me that's going to be the case or not, but at least it would have felt more normalized as I went through the process and my feelings began changing so dramatically. But now, yeah, that answers your question in a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate your honesty because dealing with somebody who has chronic illness is so difficult and it affects your relationship in so many different ways. And so your honesty really is showing other people that are experiencing the same thing that they're not alone. And sometimes you really do feel like you're floating all alone in a sea and you're not. And so bringing that information and your experience to the forefront really does help other people to feel like the other people are experiencing the same thing. That I appreciate your honesty so much. And going back to your favorite sex position, we'll do that too, because I want to honor that you are really honest and forthcoming about that too. Being on top does take strength, does take flexibility, does take endurance to keep it going for a certain amount of time until you can get there. And all of those things are necessary for you to be able to enjoy that position. And when you are at your, peak, or not even you are in good shape, sexual or health wise, I should say, not sexually, but when you're in good health, I'm not saying this right. When you're healthy in all avenues, it is going to improve your sex life. And all of what we've been talking about today, whether it be the patches or nutrition with the Juice Plus, all of these things is going to help you to get to that place where you are much healthier and you can enjoy your sex life so much more. I would love to let all of my listeners know where they can find you. So could you please let us know where we can find you?
Absolutely. Thank you. I have a website, iamreverseaging.com. So that's IAMREVERSEAGING.com. And on that website, you can find videos on how the pouches work. You can find information like the patents. You can see the 90 clinical studies. You can actually listen to NFL players talk about their experience. You can listen to doctors. You can listen to the founder talk to doctors. There's actually a call for practitioners every week. I've heard actually 60% of our company is practitioners. So interesting. But there's a lot of there's even information on the website about a video called Horses Don't Lie. And it's a great video showing the ice wave, which is called Afterlife, the way it's marketed for pads. But you can put any of these patches on pads, and the ice wave particularly, you can send them right away. And they don't have a placebo effect. There are people that are going to say this is placebo. Okay, but horses don't have a placebo effect, and neither do dogs. And there's a ton of testimonials on all animals. And there are people that I know that are quicker to put them on their animals than they are themselves. But I'm so X39 is $99 for a 1 month supply, and that is really inexpensive. You can pay $150 for retail, but just reach out to me and let's do this where you're not paying retail and you can get it for $99. And that's 30 patches, so 1 per day. Or Eon, you could get Eon as low as $49. So you could get this if you bought the 3 of these, that they would be $49 a piece. If you buy 2 of them, they're $59 a piece. If you buy just one, it's $69. So the more you get, the cheaper that they are. I love that the patches can be affordable to anybody. That may be a lot for some people, but you know what? You can just do X39 and just hang in there for a while. And there's probably no better place that you could invest your money. If you think about where we spend our money in our lifetime, even copays or pharmaceuticals or Tylenol or any of these things, they're not doing your body any good. And this is the most phenomenal thing you could do to invest in your own health. And your health is your greatest wealth. So what could be better than investing in yourself, not only for your sex life, but for your overall life and your quality of life? Because we don't just want to live longer. We want to live with more quality.
Absolutely. Health is wealth. I agree 100%.
And people can reach out. They can actually connect with me on that website. There's a way, just say contact Darlene. They can email me. I can not only get them a free consultation, but I can actually pull them into a consultation with a doctor who will answer questions specifically for them around their particular questions. Because I do have testimonials on darn near everything you've ever heard of, from cancer to diabetes to cholesterol to arthritis to pneumonia to COVID to you name it. People have recovered and improved dramatically from that. Not because the patches have necessarily healed them from that, but the patches have elevated stem cells and elevated GHQCU, and your body's innate wisdom knows what to do with that. And so it has taken care of that.
What better way than to heal yourself than to allow your body to heal itself and by giving it a boost? So thank you so much for sharing all of this information with us today. I really appreciate it. As a licensed physical therapist, I treat conditions related to sexual health. I treat the pelvic floor. I treat erectile dysfunction, decreased vaginal sensitivity and dryness, painful sex, and other sexual health related conditions. So if that's you, please reach out to me on pleaseme.online. I would love to help you. We could set up a consultation or an appointment. I also do health coaching, so don't be shy and say hi. Again, Darlene, I really appreciate you being on the show today and for educating us on this incredible technology, and I appreciate you.
Thank you, Eve. It's my pleasure.
Until next time.